100 days. That's the average time it takes to build a 150 square meter house in the United States using the wood frame system, a very common method there. It uses lightweight wooden structures, fitted together almost like a puzzle. Meanwhile, in Brazil, building a house of the same size takes anywhere from 9 months to a full year using our traditional masonry method. And it's not only a matter of speed. The American model is more efficient and, in many ways, even more adaptable to the needs of those who build. But in Brazil, the standard is different. Far from bricks and concrete, building wooden houses has been an American tradition for centuries, and wood frame is by far the most widely used construction method. That makes sense. When the British settlers first arrived, they found an abundance of wood, especially pine and cedar. These materials were not only lighter than the stone and brick used in Europe, but they also offered excellent thermal insulation, essential to survive the harsh American winters. That was the beginning of a construction system that is fast, affordable, and highly adaptable. A 150 square meter house built with wood frame can be finished in about 100 days, and with new technologies, this time can be reduced to just 60 days. On the other hand, a masonry house of the same size takes 9 to 12 months because mortar and concrete need drying time, something other construction methods don't require. Masonry also demands on-site preparation of materials, while wood frame components arrive ready for assembly. Building with wood frame is also simpler. The structure can be assembled with basic tools like a nail gun and a screwdriver, and it doesn't require a highly specialized workforce. Thermal insulation is another major advantage. The walls of a wood frame house contain empty spaces that can be filled with insulating materials like fiberglass or foam, creating a highly effective barrier. In colder climates, this drastically reduces heating costs. When it comes to cost, wood frame construction is also competitive. Even in Brazil, where the system is not common, building with this method can be about 5% cheaper per square meter compared to masonry. In the United States, the initial investment to raise the walls and structure can be up to 70% lower, thanks to the use of prefabricated components that arrive ready to install. Of course, the final cost tends to balance out because wood frame requires special treatment to resist fire, pests, and harsh weather, in addition to proper acoustic and thermal insulation. But overall, it is more practical, more efficient, and historically much cheaper in the United States, one of the main reasons why it became so popular there. The wood used in American construction comes from reforestation, is certified, and on top of that, wood frame construction generates far less debris compared to concrete. Another advantage is modularity. Parts of the house can be dismantled and replaced without the need for demolition, reducing waste and environmental impact. But then the question arises, why hasn't Brazil and many other countries adopted this method the same way Americans have? In the United States, wood dominates construction. In fact, 93% of new houses built in 2023 were made of it. After the pandemic, wood shortages even increased the cost of each house by an average of $35,000. In Brazil, however, the reality is completely different. Masonry is the star of the show. Bricks and cement form the foundation of nearly every construction project. This slower, more expensive method may seem out of sync with the practicality of the American system, but the differences didn't happen by chance. Brazil's choice of concrete and bricks is deeply connected to its climate and history. When the Portuguese colonizers arrived, Brazil's coast was covered in dense forests, with twisted trees less suitable for construction. Although Brazilian woods like mahogany and ipy are of excellent quality, they don't provide the same thermal insulation as the woods found in the United States. Beyond that, the local infrastructure and cost of production are very different. In the US, wood is extracted from certified reforestation areas, while in Brazil, this practice is far less common, making local wood harder to use on a large scale. Concrete, on the other hand, is abundant and affordable, which makes masonry the more viable choice. To implement wood frame widely, Brazil would need an entire industry dedicated to it, with heavy investments in technology and specialized labor. Climate also plays a big role. Brazil's tropical conditions, with heat and humidity, pose challenges for wooden structures. Even with treatments to prevent rot and pest infestations, the long-term maintenance costs can make wood less advantageous. Masonry, however, performs much better in hot and humid climates, staying durable over time. It also provides unquestionable structural security, with solid walls capable of supporting tall buildings, something Brazilians highly value, concrete that is affordable and built to last. Meanwhile, in the US, the flexibility of wooden houses adapts well to hurricanes and earthquakes, natural disasters that are rare in Brazil. That's another reason brick and concrete walls remain the most trusted choice here. There are also differences in climate control systems. In the US, houses are designed for heating and air conditioning, which fit easily into wood frame structures. In Brazil, these systems are less common, although they would be welcome in many regions. If wood frame were to be adopted here, it would require design adaptations to deal with natural ventilation and humidity. Regulation is another obstacle. For a long time, there were no specific standards for wooden construction in Brazil, which made it nearly impossible to get financing from banks. But in July 2023, new rules for light wood frame construction were finally established, improving safety standards and legal certainty. Even so, financing is still difficult to obtain, and economic viability remains a challenge. Are there alternatives that combine the speed of wood frame with better adaptation to Brazil's conditions? Yes. Among them, light steel frame, also known as dry construction because it doesn't use mortar, is one of the most promising. It's structurally similar to wood frame but uses galvanized steel instead of wood, which makes it more resistant to Brazil's heat and humidity. It also cuts construction time in half compared to masonry. A 150 square meter house can be completed in 4 to 6 months. The drawback? Costs can be up to 30% higher due to the price of steel and roofing. Other options include autoclaved aerated concrete, which uses lightweight insulating blocks that consume less cement and generate less waste than traditional concrete. A house of 150 square meters can be built in about 3 months using this method, though costs are around 18% higher than masonry. Expanded polystyrene, EPS panels, are another alternative, combining a styrofoam core with concrete layers. This system reduces construction time by nearly 30% and saves about 17% in costs per square meter compared to masonry. There are also more sustainable but less regulated methods, such as ecological soil cement bricks, compacted earth systems, and adobe, which are used in specific rural or ecological projects. These approaches are low-cost and environmentally friendly, but face challenges with regulation and financing. The truth is, Brazil is diversifying its construction methods, showing that innovation is possible beyond traditional masonry. Still, challenges remain. Between 2020 and 2023, construction costs skyrocketed. Materials rose 52%, labor increased nearly 30%, and overall costs jumped more than 37%. These numbers highlight the urgency of seeking faster and cheaper solutions. And naturally, wood frame becomes part of the conversation. In Brazil, however, wood faces clear limitations. While hardwoods like mahogany and ipe are strong, their high costs and scarcity make them impractical on a large scale. In the United States, pine from reforestation is mass-produced, keeping costs low and sustainable. Concrete, meanwhile, is cheap, durable, and highly compatible with Brazil's tropical climate. Wood frame is more than just a technical solution. It requires an industrial and regulatory base that Brazil is only starting to develop. The new regulation for light wood frame is an important step, but without a dedicated industry, accessible financing, and adjustments to withstand our climate, it remains a challenge. The construction sector in Brazil is evolving, trying to balance tradition and innovation to fit the realities of the market. So, did you know about this American construction method? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. That's it for today's video. See you next time.